Welcome everybody to the 5-1 edition of the Hurry Up. Wow, what a start. Let's get into this. So, the Giants are 5-1 after beating the Ravens. Tough fought game. Seems to be the norm for the Giants. Wasn't their best game on defense. Definitely wasn't their best game on defense. They gave up a lot of yards rushing. Definitely got dominated in the category of yards per game. But number 8 on the Ravens side, got outplayed by number 8 on the Giants side. And we'll get into Daniel in a little bit. But Lamar made the big mistake that he normally doesn't make. And it came down to basically 3 plays, if you want to look at it. The illegal formation, basically, that was the game right there. If they make that 3rd and 1, which they did, and they don't get the penalty, it's probably game over. Good night, the lights go home. Giants are 4-2, and we're talking about a different story. But as it plays out, the Giants are on a magical ride right now. Probably the most Cinderella story of the NFL season. And that happened. Then 3rd and 6 happened. The ball gets snapped to Lamar Jackson. At this point, I don't know what you're doing. You're picking the ball up. And I know sometimes that magic that he has, he usually makes that play, but geez, it's like I would just throw it away, punt it in, let your defense make the Giants earn the victory and not just give them the game. Is essentially what they did when Lamar Jackson threw that ball. Well, you're never supposed to throw it anyway. It's just a faux pas on his part. And if I was John Harbaugh, I'm ripping him a new one because that's just insane. And then, the game wasn't technically over then. The Giants punched it in, with a running back touchdown. And then they get the ball back with a minute 45 and 3 timeouts. You're thinking, there's a chance for them to come down and steal the game again, 27-24. So the Giants came through. You knew it was going to be bad for them on the first play of their drive when the kid dropped the football. I don't know who it was. I forgot who the kid was, but he dropped the football. And they went from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 10, and that's when the game came out because then Kayvon Thibodeau came around the corner and got his first sack of the year, biggest sack of his career so far. Hopefully there's a lot more of those coming through, but hey, man, you win. They don't put points for style points. This isn't the NHL where, you only scored this many points and they're adding this point here or you get a tie or whatever. Mathematically, the NFL uses one mathematic statistic to show you're a winner, and that's wins and losses. And right now the Giants are winning. They're 2nd in their division, sole place is 2nd place. After the Cowboys, finally Cooper Rush came back down to earth. I don't think there will be a quarterback controversy in Dallas. I think if he won this game, you could possibly say it, but I doubt that would have happened anyways. But now Dak Prescott comes back, and the Cowboys have a stretch of games like the Giants where they need to end up at 6-3 at the best, and the Giants at least 5-2, at least 9-1, 8-2, something like that. Don't slip up in these teams. I know that we're not favored by the Jaguars this week, but go handle your business. Don't worry about who's favored. Just go handle your business. Like I said, the Giants got the blueprint yesterday of how to beat them. You run the football, you control the clock, you don't make mistakes, you'll beat the Giants. That's just how you do it. If in the Ravens instance, what do? They made mistakes. The Giants made less mistakes than they did. And that there you go. Therein lies the keys to victory. The Giants did not play great defensively. Let's be honest. Mark Andrews was open all over the field. I mean, he dropped a couple touchdowns in the game, and this is why you play the games. Now, if that's in Baltimore, the Giants also took advantage of the early part of their schedule and not having to go on the road. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to lose games on the road, but you got teams that are going to eventually figure it out and be in the playoff mix. And usually it's the hot team that gets in, not the team that did well. So hopefully we'll see. I know there's a content creator, G Nation Sports, Lou, 11-6. Hey, he's like, don't get on the bandwagon now. Man, he's been saying that 11-6, 2-3 years in a row. So you can have the bandwagon. The clock is right. A broken clock is right twice a day. So, it happens. You know what I'm saying? So Good for him for predicting that. Give a shout out to my man Mac. He got the score right. Mac, the Giant fan, go sub up to him. He's a great content creator, a great Giant content creator, and my co-host on the Real Deal NFC Roundup. He would be proud of me there because my voice didn't crack. But he predicted the score. He's like the star right now. He picked the score 20-24 Giants, and that's pretty amazing, and pretty happy to be on cloud nine, right? A lot of things they got to correct in this game. A lot of things reared their ugly head, but we got through it. Again, our quarterback had a tale of two halves. He had one good drive in the first half, and that was when Gary Brightwell gave him the ball inside the Ravens' 50-yard line on that return that he made and all those missed tackles. So you need to score there. That's what they did. Touchdown to Wan'Dale Robinson. Glad that he's back. Competent receiver out there. Looks like a little jitterbug. Looks like he'll be good. Don't know, how good, but, he got a touchdown, so good for him. Finally, he's got more touchdown Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay. And they've been on the team for 2 years. So 2 years, these guys been on the team. This guy's been on the team for 30 seconds. And in his second game out there, scores a touchdown. So good job to Wan'Dale Robinson. John Feliciano, let's talk about him for a minute. He is terrible. I'm sorry. We need to upgrade the center position. I know people want to bring Nick Gates back. I don't know how that upgrades right away because you don't know if you're going to get the Nick Gates that you got, prior to the injury, because you got to get these guys time to get acclimated to getting hit. Practice doesn't do anything. If you've ever been to an NFL practice, the first day they walk around in, jerseys. The second day they hit, which is Thursday, is live, but they ain't really hitting. It's just live. Live to get the kind of the game action going. And even then, you're not really going full game speed, right? And then Friday is another walkthrough. And then Saturday is meetings and another jog through type practice. And if you've been there, done that where I have, you're just basically going over the plays. That doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win the game, but you're going over the plays. And then you do your travel or whatever the case may be on an away game. So to bring in Nick Gates, yeah, he's going to go live against, Dexter Lawrence and stuff. But again, they have the whistle. They can make it quick. In a game, the play doesn't end until the play ends. So if the guy's getting run around, you don't want to see him get abused with the leg. My best bet for Nick Gates is to ease him in and to work him in slowly. But we'll find out. But John Feliciano might be playing through some injuries, but boy, we need to upgrade on that. If there's a guy that doesn't come back next year, I'm not going to be sorry to see him come back next year. I'm like, listen, bro, you did the yeoman's job. You can come back on this contract, but you're not going to be the starter. Josh Nazudu got a lot to learn. Calais Campbell basically wrecked that drive when they were inside the red zone because of a sack. And, good. There were some things like that Daniel could have done, like maybe don't take that sack, maybe throw the ball away, maybe do a few things. But, hey, no one wants to nitpick his play because we're winning, but I'll be that guy. I'll be that guy that nitpicks his play because, let's be honest, like I said, Daniel wasn't very good in the first half. He missed guys open. You got to hit David Sills in that out route. I mean, that seems to be the second time he's done that. That route is not a favorite of his. And you just got to hit some of that. Wan'Dale Robinson, I know that the ball went through his hands, but man, the guy is 5'0". Why are you putting the ball up that high for him? Give it his breadbasket. Let him run under it. Let him make a move. Let him not jump to the moon to catch that ball. And I will praise him. The Daniel Bellinger throw was great. Good throw, and I mean, the Wan'Dale Robinson throw was a regular routine throw. And I mean, he had some routine throws. It's not like they're making the game easy for him. That's what they're doing. Now, people want to extend him. Listen, people, I'll tell you this right now. If you don't extend him to the actual franchise number of the 5-year deal that everybody usually gets or the big money deal, then he ain't the guy. Okay? Period. I don't want to hear, he'll take a $20 million deal or a hometown discount. Yeah, they say that now. But if a team like, Tampa Bay comes in and says, listen, we've got $25 million, a ready-made team, and you can go to the Super Bowl right out the gate, you never know what he might do. Now, he might be loyal. He might not be a jerk. And he might say, hey, you know what? I like what we're building here. And you could do that. That's fine. But people don't act like people can't change quarterbacks after playoff teams happen. The Kansas City Chiefs have done it, and the 49ers are trying to do it. So things happen like that. Now, I'm not saying this to be negative Nancy. All I'm saying is don't let it cloud the rebuild. If the rebuild is Joe Shane, they want to get in their guy and they want to get a more guy like a Jalen Hurts type quarterback in there, a guy that like a Lamar Jackson. Like when you watch Lamar Jackson, he flipped the field in certain aspects, in the point where the Giants had him bottled up and he slithered through a hole and boom, 50 yards later, he's down the other side of the field. That's what we talk about when we talk about the dynamics of a quarterback. They bottled up the Ravens. They bottled up the Giants' running game for the most part. And the passing game worked when it needed to work. It wasn't overly the top efficient. It was efficient. That was a good word. A friend of mine, Jeffy T, NYG Jeffy T, co-host of Premium Takes, does great Giant content, calls a lot of games. He said it best. It was an efficient effort. Efficiency is good and works, but eventually they catch up with you. It does. And I'm telling you that right now. And you can tell me, well, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. Well, neither does Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is one guy, Mark Andrews. And for 3.5 quarters, he basically ran up and down the field. They ran all over us, defensively. And they had a committee of running backs, and they had Lamar Jackson. And then they threw to some receivers who I just don't even know their names. Okay? It wasn't their first-round pick or Rashad Bateman. It wasn't any of those guys that you've heard. It was their no-name players. And he still elevated the entire team on his back. You know what I mean? Daniel, he did some good things. Do I think he's a franchise guy? If you give him a short-term deal, he's not the franchise guy, period. If you give him the 5-year deal and commit, because if you don't want to commit, you got to take all Daniel's flaws. And you can't just judge him on this game, on this season. You got to judge him on all the previous seasons. You know what I mean? They don't just judge, when you're on a team, they don't just judge you like, well, you know what, this season you're good. No, you move on. You go to the different aspects of the game. So if you decide you want to go and everyone's like, they're not going to be high enough to get a quarterback, you have no idea. You have no idea. They go to the playoffs and get eliminated in the first round. They're in the 20s, 18, 20s, that area, 18, 19, 20, 21, that area. The guy, mind you, Lamar Jackson picked at 32, right? The Kansas City Chiefs moved up and got a quarterback from 23 to 12. So it's not like it can't be done. And I'm not trying to bash the guy. I'm just letting you know, like, to me, if you're signing him to a short-term deal, that doesn't mean he's a franchise guy. That just means you're hedging your bets. Like, well, one season you did okay. We don't want to pay you the franchise tag. You got to ask yourself this question, and you got to be real about it. Don't be a giant homer about it. Be real. Financially, are you giving, after this performance, if this guy, you go to the playoffs and you have pedestrian numbers, and let's say you get ousted in the first round, are you going to come back and say, well, we're going to give you $20+ million a year, because he's not going to go anything lower than that. His franchise option was 23.4. So if you're not going to pay him more than that, and you're not going to give him a 5-year deal, then he's not the guy. He's the guy for now. And for now, we're winning. So, let's enjoy it. But we'll talk about this at the end of the year. And, I'd rather bring back Saquon Barkley, who, by the way, is a bit banged up. And, it's tough now, right? If he has this shoulder injury, which we don't know how long it's going to last, but it did affect him again when he landed on the ground. There's that field turf again. I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened on grass, but there's another thing. Barkley's playing out of his mind. And that, I know that people, my wife was watching with me and she goes, why did Barkley slide? Why didn't he score a touchdown? Because the game was over at that point. You get the first down, game's over. You don't have to score or rub it in. Me, personally, I would have scored and said whatever, and kept it moving, But Brian Dable's a lot nicer than I am. So he slid and the Giants won and took a knee, and the game was essentially over there. So Barkley had a great game. I shouldn't say great game. He had 3.8 yards a carry, his worst average of the season. So they really bottled him up. He had 83 yards rushing. So I think they made the blueprint. Now, will Jacksonville be able to emulate it? Probably not. I mean, they have Trevor Lawrence. I mean, if you don't think the Giants are going to have a chance to be 6-1, this is a game you can't drop these next games, right? Seattle, Detroit, Houston, and Jacksonville. You can't drop any of these games, right? The Giants should be 9-1 heading into the main stretch of games that we believe are going to be hard. Indianapolis, the Eagles twice, the Cowboys again, not to mention the Vikings. And then, of course, you have the Commanders that are in there twice, but nobody really cares about them. But you don't want to lose to them either. Not saying they're going to win, but, the role of sport, the NFC East is, one of those divisions where you don't want Carson Wentz to light it up on you. Now, I know the team stinks, but we've seen this years and years and years throughout the NFC East, right? I've seen booty-ass Arizona Cardinals teams, remember they were in the NFC East, beat big-time teams like Dallas and the Redskins and the Eagles, and the Giants, who were like 5 and whatever, beating the Cowboys, who were primed to go to the Super Bowl or have a big year. So it happens, I know that when I played, I was always excited to spoil someone's season, be that blemish on their record. They had a great season, but they lost to us. You know what I mean? Like the Denver Bronco game that the Giants played. They had no dog in that fight in '98, even in 2005. Well, 2005 they were more a winning team, but in '98 they had nothing to play for. But yet they went out there and they wanted to be that team that put the first blemish on their record. And if that team went 15-1, that one was the Giants. So there is pride out there. We'll see what happens. The Commanders won, so you don't see the turmoil that's going on right there. But hey, we're 5-1. You got to control what you can control. Keep fighting, because a lot of these teams are going to right the ship. And, maybe the Giants slip up here and there once down the stretch, and you just got to be able to get enough wins where you don't have to worry about those last games if you lose a couple down the stretch kicking you out. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to, if the Giants end up 9-1, I'm not saying, hey, just punt the rest of the year and lose 7 in a row. That's not what I'm saying. No. What I'm saying is, build up as many wins as you can, because that'll help you in the long run when the teams start to get better and start to make their playoff push, right? Because I'll tell you right now, the effort that they played with against the Ravens will, even though they won, will not hold up. You cannot get outgained and outplayed like they did. They won the game, so it's not going to matter, but these are the things you got to think about when you play a bigger team, like Minnesota, when a team starts to hit their stride. I would say Tampa Bay, but they're in a bit of turmoil right now, but I think they'll turn it around as they go. But, these big teams that we talk about towards the end of the playoffs, they're going to be in dogfight from here on out. There's a bullseye on their back no matter what. Hey, I'll tell you what progress is, and this is the last thing I'll say. 5-1 is better. 5 wins is better than 4 wins. Progress, people. Progress. Love this coaching staff. 5-1. Let's try to get to 6-1. I know banged up players now. You're going to see them. You're going to see them come back a little early, except for, Kadarius Toney. Who knows what that guy's doing? Probably on the beach somewhere, buying Amazon requests. But who knows? Anyways, I'm out. This has been another edition of the Hurry Up. So like, subscribe. Anytime I make a video, you can get updates. And you can also see me every Wednesday, 5:30 on The Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Have a good one.